It can launch at least two 1,000-pound satellites measuring 6 feet by 5 feet. The Scramp is roughly the equivalent in size of an F-16 fighter. It can easily attain speeds of Mach 15, or a little less than 10,000 miles per hour. The NASA Space Shuttle is an antique by comparison. The joke's on us. If you think these rumors are far-fetched, look at the YB-49, first flown in 1948, the XB-70, first flown in 1964. Now look at the SR-71, SR-75, excuse me, that's been spotted numerous times. You say the government can't keep a secret. Well, I think you're wrong. They do a pretty good job at it most of the time. The tester SR-74 that I showed you earlier, there's very little difference between that and the XB-70 flown in 1964. So 30 years later, if you had an aircraft, this aircraft, that was built out of composites instead of metal, didn't need the vertical stabilizers in the back, and had taper chines along the fuselage, it would look almost identical to the SR-75. Yet, for some reason, a lot of aerospace industry experts can't believe that the SR-75 exists. Yet, we had this plane in 1964, and the only thing that was wrong with it is the engines weren't powerful enough, and the materials they were made out of were too heavy. There are new rumors that we've placed two new vehicles in permanent orbit. One of these is the Space Orbital Nuclear Service Intercept Vehicle, or SUNSIV. It is codenamed Locust. The SR-74 Scramp and the TR-3B Flying Triangle can deliver spares replacement, service fuels, fluids, and chemicals to the SUNSIV. Then the robotic SUNSIV uses these deliverables to service, calibrate, repair, and replace parts on the newer NSA, NRO, and CIA satellites, which were all built to be serviced and maintained in space. Finally, I've saved what I consider the best for last, the operational model of the TR-3B. The early information I gathered from interviewing my contacts and their closest friends working black programs resulted in this simple basic drawing of the TR-3B. I had this drawing by late 1990. On the night of March 30th, 1990, a captain of the Belgian National Police decided to pursue the reports it had coming in on a triangular-shaped UFO. Two radar installations, one a NATO defense group, the other a Belgian civilian and military radar, also verified the UFO. Excellent atmospheric conditions prevailed, and there was no possibility of false echoes due to temperature inversions. At 5 a.m. in the morning, two dispatched F-16 fighters spotted the triangle on their radar screens and started chasing the target, or the triangle. 6 seconds later, the object speeded up from an initial velocity of 280 kilometers per hour to 1,800 kilometers per hour. At the same time, descending from an altitude of 3,000 meters down to 1,700 meters, then down to 200 meters, causing the F-16s to lose lock-on. This maneuver happened all in a matter of a second. The 40G acceleration of the triangle, some 32 gravitational forces higher than what a human can stand. Contrary to normal aeronautical expectations, there was no sonic boom during this maneuver. This phenomenal game of hide and seek was observed by 20 national policemen and hundreds of other witnesses who all saw the triangular black vehicle and the F-16 fighters chasing it. The chase was repeated twice more during that morning. The Belgians have made all information of this event public, unlike our government, which admits nothing and denies everything to do with UFOs, even if some of them are I mean, they have two choices. A million people see a triangle and they can say, well, it's a UFO or it's one of theirs, but they deny both, and, you know, it's got to be one or the other. The original picture of the TR-3B that I saw was taken with a digital camera that was carried onto a black Special Operations C-130 flying out of Hurlburt Field, Florida, on a Special Operations mission supporting the TR-3B. I have personally seen this picture and have interviewed several people who have worked on the program. I'm very sure of my facts and specifications. You can see for yourselves from the Belgian pictures, the resulting computer composite picture that we showed you, and the European sightings, and my original schematics, that the TR-3B must look a lot like this. From the original digital picture of the TR-3B, a computer graphic representation was made, which you see here using 3D Studio. This picture, one very much like it, I'm told, hangs on the wall of the Aurora program office in the Black Vault. I'm not at liberty to talk about the sergeant who took the original digital picture that I saw, but I thought he took great personal risks to let me see it. Gerald said that he'd never forget the sight of the alien-looking TR-3B based at Papoose within the Nellis Range. The pitch-black triangular-shaped TR-3B was rarely mentioned and then only in hushed rumors and whispers. The craft had flown over the Groom Lake Air Base runway and then to Papoose in complete silence and magically stopped above Area S4. It hovered silently in the same position as he described it for some 10 minutes before gently settling silently vertically to the tarmac. At times, the corona of silver-blue light glowed around the circumference of the massive TR-3B. The operational model of the TR-3B is 600 feet across. The 200 feet prototype and the 600 feet operational model of the TR-3B are codenamed Astra. The Tactical Reconnaissance, or TR-3B, first operational flight was in the early 90s. The triangular-shaped, nuclear-powered aerospace platform was developed under the same top-secret aerospace program called the Aurora. At least three of the billion-dollar-plus TR-3Bs were flying it by 1994. I'll get to that. Only a certain part of it uses the nuclear power. Then I've lost my place. I've forked again. The Aurora is the most classified aerospace development program in existence, as we've discussed. The TR-3B is the most exotic vehicle created by the Aurora program. It is funded and operationally tasked by the National Reconnaissance Office, the NSA, and the CIA. The TR-3B flying triangle is not fiction and was built with technology available in the mid-'80s. And all these tens of thousands of sightings, people have not been hallucinating. Not every UFO spotted is one of theirs. The TR-3B vehicle's outer coating is reactive to electrical radar stimulation and can change reflectiveness, radar absorptiveness, and color. This polymer skin, when used in conjunction with electronic countermeasures and ECCM, can make the vehicle look like a small aircraft, a flying triangle, a cloud background, or even trick radar receivers into falsely detecting a variety of aircraft, no aircraft, or several aircraft at various locations. Some unclassified research under the headings of electrochromatic coatings can be found on the internet. Many people have spotted the triangle, describe it as the size of 2 football fields, which would be 600 feet. Actually, the prototype is only 200 feet across, so I'm sure wouldn't be described as 2 football fields, but it depends on which one you see. From the collection of pictures, analysis, and further refinement in interviews, we had a better schematic layout of the TR-3B that's been seen by thousands of people. A circular plasma field accelerator ring called a magnetic field disruptor surrounds a rotatable crew compartment is far ahead of any imaginable technology. Now I can't use that. There are actually two completely separate systems on this aircraft. One is a magnetic field disruptor, which uses nuclear power for energy. And the second is the three multi-mode rocket engines, one on each corner of the triangle, which uses the vectored intake and exhaust thrust around the side. So for example, and I've got, by the way, angle of attack instead of heading. That's a mistake when we had the slides printed. If an aircraft is going this direction, the exhaust from the multi-mode rocket engines is out the rear, and the slots are on the side are intakes. If it changes direction, such as a 40G turn, then the intakes can be reversed to exhaust and vice versa. So you have two different systems. You have the multi-mode rocket engines using the inlet and outlet vectored vents, and then you also have this magnetic field disruptor, which is pictured here. A circular plasma field accelerator ring called a magnetic field disruptor surrounds a rotatable crew compartment and is far ahead of any imaginable technology or published technology. Sandia and Lawrence Livermore Laboratories developed the reverse-engineered MFD technology. The plasma, mercury-based, is pressurized to 250,000 atmospheres at a temperature of 150 degrees Kelvin and accelerated to 50,000 revolutions per minute to create a superconductive plasma with a resulting gravity field disruption. The MFD generates a magnetic vortex field which disrupts or neutralizes effects of gravity on mass within proximity by 89%. Do not misunderstand. This magnetic field disruptor is not anti-gravity. Anti-gravity is a repulsive force that can be used as propulsion. The MFD creates a disruption in the Earth's gravitational field upon the mass within the circular accelerator. The mass of the circular accelerator and all the mass within the accelerator, such as the crew capsule, avionics, MFD systems, fuels, crew environmental systems, and nuclear reactor, are reduced by 89%. This causes the effect of making the vehicle extremely light and able to outperform and outmaneuver any known aircraft yet constructed, with the exceptions of the ones that we didn't build. They're theirs. The TR-3B is a high-altitude stealth reconnaissance platform with an indefinite loiter time. Once you get it up there at speed, it doesn't take much to maintain propulsion and altitude. Recently, when I first mentioned this using plasma, and of course everybody goes, well, you're talking of fusion plasma and we can't contain it, and 1,000 reasons that it couldn't exist. Recently, NASA and the Russians have admitted breakthroughs in technology that would use a plasma shield for exotic aerospace vehicles. If you know anything about the history of classified black programs, you know that by the time NASA starts working on something or it becomes public knowledge, it's either proven or old technology. They are the poor stepchildren when it comes to research and development funding and technology. I don't want to offend anybody that works for NASA because I have friends that work for NASA, but I think they do as much disinformation as they do information. With the vehicle's mass reduced by 89%, the craft can travel at up to Mach 9 vertically and horizontally. My sources say the performance is limited only by the stresses human pilots can endure, which is a lot really when you consider that along with the 89% reduction in mass and weight, the G-forces are also reduced by 89%.